Y'all, we have another great speaker, and this is Danielle Lynn. Y'all, she's going to talk about faith over fear. That whole thing, that first intro is everything you need to know from me because I know y'all afraid. And I know I got afraid at some point. I was afraid to start a law firm. So if I'm going to learn how to have faith over fear, I would love to tune in. If you need a friend to get their faith over their fear, this is the talk. You ready, Danny?
Yes, I am.
All right, go ahead, take it away.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday, everybody. I am so honored to be a part of the Black Women Mean Business Summit, the inaugural summit sponsored by Nina Spear Law. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. And today you're going to hear a little bit of my testimony, how I found my way into business ownership and into owning my own law firm, and then some tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way that I want to share with you, especially if there are any, aspiring attorneys out there, any current law students or attorneys who are logged in right now and are kind of juggling with the idea of maybe starting your own thing. I really want to be able to give you guys the tips and tricks that I have used to successfully launch my firm. So let's go ahead and get started. This is Faith Over Fear, how to accept the inevitable and find your place in the legal field. Once again, my name is Danielle Lynn. I am a licensed attorney in the state of Florida, and I'm the principal attorney of Boss Lady Legal LLC, which is a business law, trademark, copyright, law firm based out of Florida. Anything that deals with entrepreneurship law, anything that deals with intellectual property and making sure that your business and your brand are protected, I do it. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the evolution of a boss, guys. You're gonna take a trip down memory lane with me. It's gonna be humorous at times, as you can already see. You can kind of tell that this is the evolution of a person by just looking at the weight and the hair. But this is a little of my story I'm gonna share with you. On the left, you see a young 18-year-old Danielle. I had just entered college at the Florida State University in Tallahassee, Florida. And that Danielle actually had no dreams of being an attorney, believe it or not. Being an attorney was the farthest thing from my mind at the time. I had spent most of my childhood and adolescent years actually wanting to be a Broadway actress. I did chorus, I did musical theater, I did drama. Did a little bit of dance, but that was really where my passion and my heart was. But I'm a first generation college student born of a Jamaican family, a Jamaican immigrant family. And my dad told me that I could not do what people do on American Idol for free, right? He was not going to pay for me to go to college and do what people on American Idol and America's Got Talent do for free. So I had to figure out something, right, that I could get a degree in while kind of still pursuing those passions. And that was a struggle for me in college. I bounced around majors. I was an English major at first, didn't like that. Went into political science thinking that political science was going to kind of help tap into that more like altruistic part of my personality. Didn't like that. Then I finally settled on sociology. Sociology is the study of how people interact with each other in groups. And then right around my junior year of college, I decided I would pick up the law, that I would really pursue getting a law degree, partially because my dad wanted to be a lawyer. He wanted to be a lawyer, and then he wanted to go into politics and go back to Jamaica and kind of help the political regime at the time, to advance democracy there in our home country. So I decided, I liked public speaking. Really at the peak of my passion was a desire to really help people. And so I decided that I was going to really pursue becoming an attorney. So who you see next is Danielle on graduation night. December 11th, 2012, I graduated from Florida State University with a dual degree in sociology and uh, um, philosophy. I double majored because I knew that I wanted to go to law school. So what better way to prepare for law school than to read a bunch of stuff that is very dense that you don't want to read and write a bunch of circular argument. And that was all philosophy really was. Fast forward to August of 2013, one else be like, I'm not sleep. that was me. That was me one night after a long day of class. I got tired of sitting in the library with my study group. I was reading for contracts, fell asleep with the pens in my hand, trying to brief my cases for the next day. And one of my study partners thought it would be funny to take a picture and meme me for Instagram. So that's what you see right there. But a lot of you guys who are attorneys or are current law students know that that is the struggle, right? A lot of long nights, a lot of reading, a lot of writing, a lot of preparing yourself for what will be the practice of law. So if you don't like reading and you don't like writing, then you might want to consider a different career path, because that is all you do. Literally, I think 2% of all cases go into litigation, end up in trial or in court. So the vast majority of what you do is reading and writing. So that's what you see right there in that third picture. The fourth picture is me in May of 2016, having achieved my Juris Doctor degree from the Florida A&M University College of Law in Orlando, Florida. And at the time, I was actually about 3 months pregnant. I found out about halfway through my last semester of law school that I was pregnant. So you can just imagine going through that semester, preparing to study for the 10 weeks that it would take for me to study for the Florida bar exam. I was under pressure. I knew that I had to make something happen, and I knew that I did not want to have to take the bar exam with a newborn baby. I wanted to be one and done. So that was me trying to celebrate as much as I could, but knowing in the back of my mind that I still had another 10 weeks before I could truly relax. But thankfully, the last picture you see, September 20th, 2016, was my swearing in. That is the Honorable Judge Faye Allen. She is a judge out of the Ninth Judicial Circuit of Florida in Orange County, Florida. That is actually me in the atrium of the law school being sworn in to the Florida bar. And as you can see, I'm very, very pregnant. I actually got my bar results the day after my baby shower. So you can imagine I was on edge that Sunday prior. But thankfully, I found out that I passed the bar exam on the first time, and I was sworn in shortly before I gave birth. This is the evolution of a boss, right? This is my journey to my law degree. But so many things have happened in the last 4 years to really shape the lawyer that I am today, and have brought me, to where I am now, a business owner owning my own law firm, because I did not have any dreams of owning my own law firm. My dad suggested it a couple of times while I was in law school, and I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't, I didn't trust myself. And I feel like a lot of women, especially, find themselves in a situation where they don't necessarily trust their ability to be business owners, partially because in a lot of families, financial literacy and business ownership are not things that are discussed with girl children, with women in a household. A lot of times men are the ones who are taught how to manage money, how to run businesses. You see a lot of men go into college and get business degrees, but women are, women have a sort of uphill battle sometimes when it comes to business ownership. So how did I get from that last picture to this? Well, that's part of my testimony. So when I graduated from law school, I gave birth shortly after finding out that I passed the bar and getting sworn in. And I stayed at home for about 8 months with my son, because I wanted to, really give him that space and opportunity to grow. I wanted to be there for the first few months of his life full time, but also partially because it was a struggle finding a job. It really, really was. As much as I love my law school, FAMU College of Law, we are relatively newer compared to the other law schools in Florida. A lot of people were not aware that the law school was in Orlando and not on the main campus in Tallahassee. So there were some unique challenges that a lot of the alumni from the law school had when it came to job placement after graduation. And to be honest, in Florida, things are still very antiquated when it comes to the law. And sometimes as a person of color, you do find it a little hard to find your place. So I ended up working for the Department of Children and Families as my first job. Did not know that that was even a thing, right? I knew about being a prosecutor in the criminal, aspect of it, being a state attorney in Florida. I know in some other states it's known as a district attorney, but in the state of Florida, criminal prosecutors are called state attorneys. So I knew about that, obviously being a public defender, but I had no idea that you could be a state prosecutor and prosecute abuse, abandonment, and neglect of children. But that ended up being my first job right out of law school. And as you can imagine, especially being a new mother, it was very triggering to deal with some of that subject matter. On top of the fact that as a state employee, we were not paid all that well. I graduated law school with loans from both undergrad and law school, all unsubsidized, which means that all that interest was just compounding even in the years that I was in school and my loans were in deferment. So I owe a lot of money back to Sally Mae, and I wanted to make sure that whatever job I had was going to give me the ability to pay that back, right? So I stayed with DCF for about a year. It was a great experience. The people there were great, but then I was given the opportunity to go into private practice with a mid-sized law firm in Orlando. And I did a lot of litigation because litigation is what I thought I wanted to do. When I was in law school, I decided I didn't want to go the moot court route. I didn't want to go the journal route. I wanted to do mock trial because in my mind, I wanted to be a prosecutor, right? I was in law school shortly after the Trayvon Martin trial concluded, and I really felt like we needed people to tell our stories and to advocate for us and represent us. So I focused a lot on litigation, but as you can imagine, in the state part of it, when you're a prosecutor, it's very different. There's a different dynamic between you and your opposing counsel. In civil litigation, when there's money on the line, I found that people tend to be a lot more nasty. My opposing counsel were a lot more nasty in their behavior. I wondered sometimes if we were held to the same ethical standards as lawyers, because in my opinion, there were a lot of things that my opposing counsel used to do. And I know there's like strategy and using the rules of civil procedure to your advantage, but some things were just borderline unethical. And then also I found myself in a space where I was not only the only Black attorney at my firm, I was one of maybe 3 Black employees in total at the firm, right? The only other the only other Black person that was a paralegal was my paralegal. So they put the Black attorney and the Black paralegal together. And then the only other Black person in the entire firm was the receptionist. So it felt very lonely to be there at times. And then there is some ageism as well in the legal field, where if you are a younger person and you're going up against someone who has, been practicing for 20, 30 years, there's this idea that you don't know what you're doing, right? You're a novice and you're naive and you don't know the games that can be played. So sometimes they use your inexperience to their advantage. And after a while, it just became very exhausting, very, very exhausting. I found myself sometimes driving into the parking lot of the office and crying because I just I just was not happy with what I was doing. There was no sense of fulfillment. I was doing a lot of foreclosure on behalf of banks, right? So we were taking back people's homes, and I didn't feel like there was any real benefit that I was giving society from what I was doing. On top of the fact, like I said, it was very lonely being the only Black attorney at the firm, being one of only 3 women attorneys at the firm. And then looking back in retrospect, it was sort of toxic in the things that I had to deal with. There were a lot of times where, if I had a strategy for a case, my strategy would be overlooked because I was the youngest at the firm, or, a lot of implicit bias there as far as, being a woman of color. But if, my supervisor, who was a white male, would say the same strategy, the same litigation strategy about the same case, everyone thought it was like this brilliant idea, right? But I had literally just said that. Or I would, say it to him as my supervisor, hey, I think that we should, deal deal with this case or handle this case in a certain way or go in a certain direction. And he would say, okay, yeah, I'll think about it. But then in a team meeting, he brings the idea as if it's his own, right? So it just got to a place where I was not happy with what I was doing. And I remember applying for jobs and going on interviews, and nothing was breaking for me. And I'm a strong, strong believer in God. And I remember praying to God and saying, what am I supposed to do? Right? I'm unhappy. I know I didn't go into all this debt and spend all these years in school to be unhappy, right? My family didn't sacrifice all they did to come to this country and to give me a better life and a chance at an education for me to now, years later, be miserable in that very same career field that I thought would be my dream. God, what do I do? What do I do? Then the pandemic hit. In March, we were sent home to work remotely because of the pandemic. And I was working remotely, still trying to make billable hours. A lot of you guys know that's how the civil world works, right? The more billable hours you make, the more money you make into the firm and the more of an asset you are. Well, once the moratorium on foreclosures hit, it was extremely hard to make billable hours because we could not move cases forward, right? The courts were closed. There really wasn't much that we could do. And I went on a fast in April, right before Easter, asking God for direction. I just, I was at a place where I was fed up. Then you added the pandemic, being quarantined, being away from family, um, being a mom, trying to figure out, how am I going to keep the lights on and the bills paid and make sure that my son is taken care of. And so I went on a 3-day fast and I asked God for direction. And 3 days later, I got a call from my boss saying that he was letting me go from the firm. Later found out that he let go of all 3 of the Black employees at the firm, myself, my paralegal, and the receptionist. And I was devastated because I had no plan. I did not know what I was going to do. Like I said, we were in the middle of quarantine and my bills still needed to be paid. At the time, Boss Lady Legal was just a social media platform. I knew when I graduated from law school that I was interested in business law, but I felt like I didn't have the knowledge that I needed to be a business attorney, right? I didn't go to school and get a business degree. I was essentially a student up until that point. I went straight from college into law school, graduated from law school, and I was still trying to get that practical experience. And business law is kind of hard to break into as an attorney if you're going into a firm and trying to practice business law, because there is some unique knowledge that you need. And so Boss Lady Legal was really just supposed to be a social media platform to uplift Black business owners, because I had sorority sisters and close friends of mine that were entrepreneurs. They had their own businesses, and I wanted to be able to highlight especially Black women-owned businesses. And then I also wanted to be able to talk about certain topics that I knew a lot of my friends who own businesses wanted to know about. But, it didn't require me to have to open a firm or do anything like that or represent them, but it would just be something simple like, what are the advantages of being an, LLCing versus being a sole proprietor? Simple things that I could do like a blog post about. So Boss Lady Legal was not a firm. It was literally just kind of like a passion project at the time. I had even created a Pinterest board called Passion Project, where I would save different things about how to use hashtags and how to start a blog, because that's all Boss Lady Legal was supposed to be. Well, when I lost my job at my firm, I had nothing but time, space, and opportunity to create what is now Boss Lady Legal LLC, which is a full-service boutique law firm specializing in entrepreneurship law, trademarks, and copyrights. And I even do business consulting for, aspiring business owners that are just trying to figure out, what is the best way to start. I just need to know how to start because I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. So that is how the pandemic birthed Boss Lady Legal. That is just a testament to tell you guys that, rejection is truly a redirection. just because bad things happen does not mean that that's the end of the book. It might just be the end of that chapter, but your book is still to be written. And I have learned so much from this period of my life. I launched Boss Lady Legal in June of this year on my 30th birthday, as a promise to myself that I could do it. And if you are out there and you are looking to start your own firm, or even for people who are not in the legal field and you're sitting on a business idea and you just don't have the faith, or you don't feel like you have what it takes, or you feel like the market is saturated, I want my story to allow you guys to know that you can do it. Honestly, you are your own biggest critic. You are your own wall. You're your own brick wall when it comes to achieving your dreams. And even the worst situations can bring out the best results. So on that note, I have some factoids about Black women in the legal field. Only about 5% of all attorneys in America are Black. Very, very, very small percentage of us, and even less of us are Black women attorneys. Only 2% of us are Black female attorneys. Black students only comprise 7.4% of all law students in America. And this is from a 2017 Harvard Law research study. According to a June 2020 American Bar Association report, 70% of female minority lawyers leave or have considered leaving the profession altogether. And it's interesting to note that in that very same study, they felt as though the results or the statistics that they found from the study were not accurate because there weren't even enough Black women attorneys to bring into the study. That is how small the percentage is of Black women attorneys that are in, higher up positions within law firms in the legal field. Only 2% of equity partners in law firms are women of color, a percentage that has remained the same over the last 20 years. That is just amazing. And this is a direct quote from that same article. Women of color have the highest rate of attrition from law firms as they continue to face firm cultures where their efforts and contributions are neither sufficiently recognized nor rewarded. As you guys heard before, I have, direct experience when it comes to that, having ideas and strategies for how to deal with cases, or even from a business standpoint of how to, bring more business into the firm, and feeling as though you can't speak up, or, if something happens that might offend you, right? Because it happens. I'm a woman who has natural hair, and sometimes people who are not similarly situated think that that's fascinating, right? Oh my gosh, your hair's so big, it's so curly, and then they touch it or they want to ask you questions, and sometimes they don't mean to offend, but it's offensive. And you have to kind of walk on eggshells and figure out, well, do I say something? If I say something, how do I say it so as to not be perceived as the angry Black person? Or the angry Black woman. And I say all this to say, I know that these statistics and things are kind of doom and gloom, right? But I like to share the reality, especially with law students, of what you face in the legal field. And I found that a lot of times, because we have, these obstacles and these hurdles that we have to climb, a lot of people just tend to go out and hang their own shingle, as they would say, or start their own firms. But these are some of the current issues that Black women face in the legal field. And then there's imposter syndrome. And that was kind of what this talk was about. Imposter syndrome is a term that we've heard kind of floating around very recently. And as a psychological phenomenon, imposter syndrome, also known as imposter phenomenon, imposterism, fraud syndrome, or the imposter experience, is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments, and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Imposter syndrome is real. And as you face some of these uphill battles in the legal field, or even within, whatever respective field you're in, you develop a sort of imposter syndrome because it makes you wonder if you have what it takes to be successful, right? Especially if you went to school and you got a degree and you specialized or you got certifications to do certain things, and then you get into your field, and it's like you feel like you don't have a voice, you feel like you're almost invisible. It makes you wonder, like, do I know everything? Do I have what it takes as an attorney? Do I have what it takes to really be successful? And the two women that you see here have experienced imposter syndrome. Michelle Obama, our forever first lady, talked about it in her memoir, Becoming, about dealing with imposter syndrome, especially in the legal field. She herself, is an attorney, and she's accomplished in her own right, outside of just being the first lady to the first African American president of the United States. She's very accomplished, and she talks about, stepping into rooms with predominantly white male, board members or attorneys or partners, and realizing that in talking to them, they're not any smarter than she is, right? They're not any more talented than she is. Some of them may have gone to the best schools, but that doesn't mean that they have, any additional or special abilities. And especially, I think, even looking at, Kamala Harris, she comes from an HBCU. She has an HBCU education up against people from Harvard and Cornell and Yale and Princeton, but she is a beast when it comes to, the courtroom or cross-examination. You learn the same skills when you're in law school. These people are not any more or less talented than you are, and having to kind of overcome that imposter syndrome and realize that. And then a lot of you may not know who the woman at the bottom is, but her name is Melissa Dunbar. She is the owner of the Lip Bar, which is a Black woman-owned lipstick company. You can find them in Target. There's a wonderful documentary called She Did That that's available on Netflix. I encourage you all to watch that documentary. She is featured in that documentary, and in 2015, before her lipstick line kind of made it big, she was invited to participate on Shark Tank, which you guys know is a very big kind of reality show. And she went on Shark Tank, and the host of Shark Tank told her that she would never find a market, that she would never get market share. It's just lipstick, it's just a lip gloss, that's not a legitimate business. And one of the hosts even went as far as to say that she would be crushed like a colorful cockroach if she was to ever think of, really taking the lip bar into a bigger market. Well, instead of letting that deter her, she used that as her motivation. And now her brand is all over. I mean, she was one of the first Black woman owned cosmetic lines to be available in Target. And that was a huge accomplishment of hers. And had she taken the feedback that she got from Shark Tank and internalized it and felt that imposter syndrome that, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. And, the audacity of me to think that a lipstick line was going to be anything big, or, yeah, that I am this colorful cockroach that they're just going to squish. She would never have made it as far as she did. But these stories just show you that this is real. Imposter syndrome is real, and you have to be very careful about the things that you internalize. Before I move forward, I just want to make sure that we don't have any questions or comments. Nina, do we have anybody who has asked a question up until this point?
At this point, no, they've just been letting you talk. So you've been really engaging to them so far. So if you're ready for questions, I got some questions for you.
Yeah, let's go to some questions before I continue.
All right, so we will put your screen up only, and then I will ask you questions. And when you're ready to go back to the presentation, just let me know. Just like, hey, Nina,
Okay.
you go back to finish this last part.
Okay.
So first, let's ask this question. Your $1 million idea, what is something that could change your industry completely? We all have something that we've noticed in the market that we are already serving in that you wish that people would go ahead and just like listen to your viewpoint on. If they would just listen, it could really revolutionize the industry. So what is your $1 million idea? Y'all don't steal Danny's idea. This is Danny's idea. I have on record that this is Danny's idea. I understand that we are in this thieving industry, but just make sure you guys, if you want to keep your ideas safe, remember that at the end of the day, somebody once kept all of the stuff that I shared safe in accelerator programs and things like that that I was in. And I don't want to make y'all have to sign non-disclosures to listen to these amazing speakers. So listen to these ideas. Do not make these ideas happen and then be like, oh, wait, you didn't do nothing. So boom. So what's your $1 million idea that can revolutionize the industry you are in?
That is a great question, and it's not necessarily, personally, in my opinion, it's not necessarily anything that I think is like stealable. It's not an invention, but what I've come to realize when I developed Boss Lady Legal, I really wanted to focus on minority business ownership. Black women are the fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurship in this country, but they face the most difficulty when it comes to getting funding, increasing, shares and ownership within their own companies, and having their brands protected. We know throughout history that Black people, just in general, have had ideas and as simple as a dance routine be stolen from them because we are just creatives. That's just how we are. Part of it comes from necessity, right? When you have grown up systemically dealing with racism and then even from the days of slavery, a lot of things that are now quintessentially Black, right? Even down to eating fried chicken or something like that came out of necessity. And so if nobody else knows how to spin a bad situation into something good, it is Black people. But that has also kind of been almost a curse for us because we are not able to keep what is ours, and that is partially because we just don't know what we don't know. And what I've found in doing Boss Lady Legal and providing the services that I provide is that our people don't, sometimes it's difficult for them to recognize the value in what my services offer them, right? So I hate to use this as an example, but it's one of the best examples out there. A few months ago, B. Simone got in some heat, right? Because her manifestation journal, it came out that she had actually used some samples from a Pinterest post that she found, or maybe her, designers found, the people who worked on the journal with her, that were created by two other women, and she made like $1 million off of the journal, and that was just in pre-sales. So she made a lot of money, and people were very, hype about this product that she put in the market, only to find out that it was not her original work. And it was as bad as you could look line for line that this book was taken, right? And something as simple as copywriting, the things that you create that are in a tangible medium, trademarking your business name and your business logo so that you have the brand ownership and then can protect it in the marketplace is value. But I find that a lot of Black business owners, it doesn't translate to them that is something that you need to protect. And so maybe like honestly, it's not revolutionary because having these types of workshops and summits where you can give as much free information as you can without like giving it all and taking away from your bag is probably the best thing that we can offer the market right now, because people just don't know what they don't know, and they have to see the value in it in order to invest money in it and believe that it's something that they need and that's going to be beneficial to them in the long run. So I think just continuing to have these types of platforms and conversations with people who have the knowledge and serve our community would be revolutionary.
Awesome. So the next question that I have for you is to tell me more about you that I can't find on paper. You know that question.
Um, okay, well, you guys know that I'm a mom, right? I have a 4-year-old son. He is my inspiration. He's my world. I already told you guys that I wanted to be a Broadway actress. I still love music. I still love singing. I just haven't, it's been years since I really kind of took it seriously, mostly because I've been in school pursuing a law degree. I love to cook. Um, what else? Um, I don't know. I think that's about it. I love reading. I just got back into reading for leisure. I
I
took
like
a
that.
I took a break from reading after law school because it was just too much. So I just started to kind of get back into reading for leisure and reading for fun. I love watching documentaries. I absolutely love watching documentaries. I'm a nerd in that way. Yeah, I think that's it. And I'm
I like
really passionate about the law and helping other people and reaching back.
I like that. So now you're gonna love this next question. Summarize all you are and all you do in 3 words.
All I am and all I do. Mm, passion, ownership. It's not really a word, but CEO. That's
Yeah,
why my firm is called Boss Lady Legal, because you
yes,
deserve to
I
be the
know.
boss.
That's really trending in the industry right now. Boss every
Mhm.
boss, boss, boss. So I think
Right.
wonderful nickname for yourself and great stage name. So, boss lady, that's how I think guys usually refer to us lovingly, but it's kind
Hmm.
of condescending, but you've made it your own and positive. So I like that, boss lady,
Exactly. So
positive.
that kind of brings us back into the presentation. Nina,
Ooh,
let me know if there's questions as we go through. But I know that I'm on a time crunch and we have some other amazing speakers today. So let me
you're
know when
good?
it's back up. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
it's back up.
Okay. So then let's get into the nitty gritty of, how you find your place in the legal field and how to develop your own law firm if that is what you want to do. So I have 4 basic tips for you for finding your place, right? Once you get your Juris Doctor degree, you have pretty much the world at your fingertips. And I know that a lot of law students or recent graduates have probably heard that a lot, but you get your JD and you might choose to go and take a bar exam so you can be licensed to practice, or you might choose to utilize your JD, in another way, but you're really trying to figure out, well, what do I do with this, right? I paid all this money for this piece of paper. What do I do in this or with this? Finding your place in the legal field. First, lean on your education. That is something my dad always told me. Get your education because it's one of the only things that people can never take from you in this life. Once you have it, no one can ever say that you don't have it, and you can use it to your advantage in as many ways as you want to. A professor of mine, my crim pro professor in law school, said, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall back on your preparation. So you have to lean on your education. Know that if you went to law school, you have everything that you need to be a successful lawyer. You know how to analyze the law. First of all, you know how to find the law. That's first of all, because most people walk throughout, life knowing some basics like you shouldn't kill people, you shouldn't steal from people or steal things, you shouldn't vandalize, you shouldn't litter, very basic things, right? But when it comes to the nitty gritty of the law and policy, most people don't even understand how policy is created, how laws are created, or where to find them. You know how to find the law. You know how to analyze the law. You know how to synthesize information, how to take all of the facts that you might get and parse out what the relevant facts are, because we know that not all facts are relevant facts depending on the call of the question, right? All of these legal terms that you hear in law school, the call of the question, you know how to find the relevant facts, and then you know how to bring those relevant facts and the law that you found together to make an educated guess or an educated recommendation to a client. Lean back on that, because no matter what facet of the law you are in, you will always use those same skill sets that you learned in law school. Explore different areas of the law. That is kind of going back to leaning on your education. There's this idea, and I think for a lot of us as Black people, and then Black women, I know for me coming from an immigrant family, there's this pressure that we put on ourselves to be perfect, right? We have to have it all figured out. You don't. You don't have to have it figured out. My experience in the legal field runs the gamut. I was an intern for the family law division at the courthouse in Tallahassee. I sat in on mediations, which were very, very interesting, right? that let me know I didn't want to do family law because I didn't want to sit down in a mediation for 3 hours arguing over who gets to take the puzzle because I did this much of the puzzle, which that is a real mediation that I sat on, guys, believe it or not. They argued about a puzzle. So I've done family law. I've done dependency. That was the facet of the law I did when I was an attorney for DCF that deals with children that are in state care. I crossed over into juvenile law, which is, juveniles, children that are in the criminal justice system. I have done real estate, all types of real estate, residential real estate. I've done commercial real estate. I've done real estate litigation. I've done transactional real estate. I've worked for companies. I've worked for firms. And this is not all necessarily as a practicing attorney, but these are internships and things that I chose to explore while I was in law school. You don't have to know exactly what you want to do with your law degree when you come out of school. And a lot of times our biggest motivation is just getting these bills paid. Because we went from getting a net check at the beginning of every semester to now not having any money coming in, being in debt, Sally Mae knocking on our door for that payment after 6 months, post graduation. And so we just got to make some money. So don't be ashamed if you find yourself kind of bouncing around in different facets of the law, because you really don't know if you love something or you want to do something until you're in it. And you could very well find that, what you thought was being a criminal defense attorney is not what you actually got. So explore different facets of the law. Explore whether or not you want to be a transactional attorney or a litigation attorney. I thought 100% that litigation was what I wanted to do. I loved the thrill of walking into a mock trial competition. I loved it. I loved opening argument. I loved cross-examination. I loved closing argument. I loved that very competitive nature of litigation in law school. Then I got into practice and I realized how stressful litigation is, and that the thrill of the trial experience only comes in, like I said, about 2% of all cases. Most of the time you are being propounded with discovery, requests to produce, requests for admissions, and it's like these flamboyant requests from the other side that they know is just going to drag the case on for a year or two, because you're going to object to every single request, and then they're going to file a motion with the court to demand that you produce the stuff for us to then have to set a hearing date 3 months out because there's no time on the docket. So now that bought them 3 months. Like it's a game, right? And it's all about money. And I found through actually practicing litigation that that's not where my priorities are. Also know that once you graduate law school, your priorities might shift and be different. I was a mom. I never thought when I entered law school at 22, 23 years old that I would be a mom in 3 years' time. But when I was 26 and got my law degree and was barred, my idea was that, hey, I want to be able to leave work at work. I want to leave work at a decent time. I want to come home to my child. I want to have weekends. I don't want to have to worry about the being a slave to the billable hour. And so now in my practice, I don't do any litigation. I have attorneys on deck in my Rolodex that I can say, okay, you have an issue. Let me scroll through my Rolodex and see who does, IP litigation or business litigation. I can refer those people out, but I don't take litigation cases. I don't do it because to me, I've been there already. I know the stress that comes with it. And I've gotten to a place where I'm not willing to compromise what it is that I love about the law in order to get a check, right? So explore those different facets as well, because what you think a certain field comes with may not be what you get once you get into it. And then most importantly, do not be afraid to start over. That goes back to, I said, the overarching issue sometimes with us is that we want to get it right the first time. And it doesn't work like that. When you graduate, your dream job is not going to be there. Partially because you don't even know what your dream job is, right? So you have to take those, at least the first few years, to explore. I remember being a 3L and having an attorney come in for a networking dinner that PAD Phi Alpha Delta hosted. And they said, the first 5 years of practice, you are just trying to figure out how to be a lawyer, because law school teaches you the skill set, but they don't teach you basic things like how to file a case, how to serve people properly, how to answer discovery, these very tangible skills that you need once you get into practice. You're not necessarily taught that while you're in law school. So you spend the first 5 years of practice just trying to figure out how to be a lawyer. And then once you kind of feel comfortable in that, that is when you start to kind of think about, well, what is it that I really want to do long term? So don't be afraid to start over. It's okay. The worst that can happen is that you find out that you don't like it. Boom, spin that, pivot it into something different. Look at what, happened with me. Like I said, going back to my story, I wanted to do business law, didn't know how to get into it. Trust me, I had applied to positions in firms that did business law. Some of them did exactly what I'm doing now with my firm, and I couldn't get in because I didn't have the experience. So instead of waiting for a seat at the table, I created my own table, right? Don't be afraid to start over, guys. 5 tips. Ready, set, go. 5 tips to start your law firm from scratch. And this is whether or not you want to do what I do, business law and IP, whether or not you want to go into personal injury, whether or not you want to do, estate planning. If any of you out there want to start your own firm, if you're a law student thinking about doing it, if you're a recent graduate who wants to hang their shingle, or if you're a seasoned attorney who is tired of the firm life and waiting on a bonus from someone else, and you want to be able to set your own hours and set your own prices, these are 5 main tips that I have. Number 1, decide your business structure, right? Most law firms are either LLC or PLLC. LLC, limited liability company. PLLC, professional limited liability company. So professional limited liability companies is a business structure that is reserved for certain professions, the legal profession being one of them. But there are some pros and cons to doing that, because if you're looking to grow a firm and hopefully one day, offer shares of your firm to other attorneys that you might invite in, or other employees that you might invite in, a PLLC might not be the best, because there are some guidelines around who can have, ownership shares in the company, or who can have certain managerial duties within your law firm, right? Because it's centered around that specific profession. So I would, first decide what your business structure will look like. And then number 2, of course, set up your bank accounts. You're going to need an operational account, which is just a basic business checking account, because you need to operate your business, right? You need to be able to pay for any technology that your law firm might be using, whether or not, you have to do case law research, whether or not you need to have, obviously, systems that make your law firm operate more smoothly. Things that are as simple as, your email. Having a professional domain name and email address that you can use, that costs money every year, or sometimes monthly, depending on how you do your subscription. So, making sure that you have a operational account. But most importantly, for lawyers who are opening a law firm, you need to have your IOLTA account open. That is your interest account. That is your trust account that you have for all of the money that is coming in from your clients that you have not earned yet. And in opening up your IOLTA account, you have to be very careful. You have to make sure that the bank that you are opening your account with understands how to specifically open trust accounts for law firms. There are certain reporting requirements and setup requirements that each bar association that you are a member of might need you to do or have your bank account set up under. So it's very important to make sure that your bank knows that. When I was kind of shopping around to figure out what bank I wanted to use for my law firm, I asked them those questions. Have you ever, the specific person that was servicing me, have you ever set up a trust account for a law firm? Do you know what the Florida bar requires? Because the last thing that you want to do is get in trouble when it comes to the trust account. Okay. A lot of attorneys, I would bet money that the majority of the attorneys that are disciplined for any type of, conduct are disciplined because of issues with client funds, trust accounting, and then of course, not communicating effectively with their clients. So make sure that you set up your bank account with a bank that understands what your needs are specifically, and make sure that you are very familiar with your state bar's requirements when it comes to trust accounting. Okay. A lot of the bar associations, they have pages on their website that discuss, those basic steps of starting a trust account and starting a law firm from scratch. I know that for Florida, they have an entire page that is dedicated to lawyers who are interested in starting their own law firms, and they give you all types of tips and tricks, and they're free CLEs that you can sign up for that will teach you everything that you need to know when you're starting your firm. Number 3, decide your name. This goes back to what Nina was just talking about when it comes to my name. A lot of us have this idea of like what is professional and what is not professional, right? So in the most basic terms, you could be, the law office of your name, or your name, law. That's very, it's very basic, nothing complicated about that. Some states require that your law firm be set up in that way. I know Georgia was like that for a while, that you could not have this like any like unique names. You had to have like law office of, or your name law, or something like that. But for me, I chose Boss Lady Legal because of my testimony of how I even got into business ownership in the first place. The idea that for a long time, I felt as though I was making someone else rich and not me, not myself, right? My salary was set by whoever I was working for. My PTO is set by whoever I'm working for. My ability to get a bonus or to get a raise is determined by someone else. And here I am working, trying to make the billable hours or over the billable hours that are required and prove myself worthy, to the benefit and advantage of someone else. Now I wanted to be the boss. And my firm is founded on the idea that everyone has the ability to be their own boss, and everyone should. Even if business ownership is not for you, or owning your own firm is not for you, I definitely encourage people to even find just a passion project that you can make passive income off of. If 2020 has not taught us anything else, it's that one stream of income is not enough, because you will always be at the mercy of the economy, the government, and whoever runs that company, of whether or not you keep your job, you lose your job, you get a raise, or you stay the same, or you're demoted. So it's this idea that in being a boss, you control your own destiny, you control your own life, and you're able to map out, what you want your career and your life to look like. And I got some backlash for my choice of name, mainly by, friends and family who thought, are you sure that might not come off as the most professional? But in my mind, I also wanted to be relatable. One thing that the general public feels about lawyers is that they can't trust us, right? Like everything that we say is for money. We always are looking for a dollar out of them. That's why we charge so much. And that's why we charge for this and that. And everything is hourly rate. And this idea that like, trusting someone else with your business, or trusting someone else with your life or your money is putting yourself in a vulnerable position. And so when I market myself, it's from a stance of relatability. Hey, I own a law firm. That means I'm a business owner too. And I know exactly what, runs through your mind at night when you're trying to go to sleep, but you're thinking about, how to market your business, or how to increase your sales, or how to make 6 or 7 figures. Let me help you get there. And so I wanted to have a name that not only spoke to the mission of the firm, but also was relatable and professional, but not overly professional to be intimidating. So number 3 is important to me because it was a big hang up when I was deciding to go into business. Decide your name. Number 4, keep it simple, sis. You heard KISS. We've learned KISS back in grade school. Keep it simple, sis. You do not need to have 10,000 systems and pay all that money in the beginning, unless you have it like that, right? Some of us are strategic in how we go about things. We save our 6 to 8 months of expenses. We've been saving up money because we know we about to leave our job and go do something else. So some of us have the money right off the bat to get all of the different client systems and to buy, my case and get a Clio management system and all of that stuff. And some of us don't. I told you guys already. I mean, I had literally the day I got the call from my boss that I was being let go is the day I got my little stimulus check. Okay. And I was grateful for that $1,200 because it went right into funding my firm. But I didn't have the money to get all of these systems off rip. So some of the things that I did was just utilize Google Drive, making sure that I had Google Drive accounts for my clients. And I made documents, password protected and stuff to protect their information. And what I do, I didn't necessarily need to be looking up case law. But like I said, I utilized Google Drive. I spent a little bit of money to make sure that I had a website and that I owned my domain name and that I had a professional email address. But I started off with a basic Gmail, bossalegal20@gmail.com. I still have that email to this day, right? I have my separate, like my actual firm email, Danielle@bossalegal.com, that I own. But I started off with a basic Gmail account. That's all I had. And then I made my own website from scratch. Nina will tell you, I met Nina through a resource that I will tell you about later. But Nina stayed up with me, right, till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning as I was making my website because I just had to have my website done, right? I did that thing from scratch, and I'm proud. No one can ever take that away from me. Now, am I going to go pay someone?
You worked hard.
Yeah, listen, I worked hard on my little website, okay? Now, am I going to pay for someone to make it look more professional and polished? Absolutely, because that's not my ministry. I know what my ministry is, and that was not it. But for what I needed when I was starting, that's all I needed. So keep it simple. Talk to people who have started their own firms. Not everyone that I spoke to when I decided to start my firm was doing the type of law that I'm doing. I talked to friends who have personal injury firms. I talked to friends who do estate planning. I talked to friends that have debt collection firms that they started. But all of the needs of a firm are basically the same. Okay, so I spoke to them and I asked them, what did you do when you first started? Especially those who started right out of law school, because I knew that more than likely they did not have the money right out of law school to start their firm. So I wanted to know, how could I keep it as simple as possible, but make it still look professional to get the clientele that I needed to then have the money to pay for those systems. So don't feel like you have to have everything right off the bat. Number 5, network and market your firm. So important. Sis, how are you going to get clients if you don't market your firm? You have to network. LinkedIn is so incredibly important. LinkedIn is like the professional marketplace, right? It's like the Facebook of business. So you want to make sure that you have a LinkedIn profile. Number 1, your individual LinkedIn profile is optimized, but then you also want to create a LinkedIn profile for your business. You want to create a Google business page that people can use, when they're Googling for business attorney, trademark attorney, your law firm will pop up no matter what it is that you're going to be doing. And in networking, I really encourage you to look outside of just the legal field. I'm a business lawyer, so I want to get in the room with other business owners because that's my clientele. So I don't necessarily want to be going to every bar association's business law happy hour or IP happy hour. I want to go to the African American Chamber of Commerce, right? Where I'm going to find a bunch of Black business owners that probably need my services. That way I can hand out my business card, talk to them, see them face to face. You want to go to, or you want to get involved with other community organizations that are out there so you can get your face out there. The more facial recognition you have is the better marketing that your law firm has, and the more likely you are to get more clients. So when you're thinking about networking and marketing, think outside of the box. Number 1, where are you going to find the clients? What type of clients are you looking to get? You want to find out where those people are going to be. And then number 2, it opens you up to other resources as well, and partnerships and collaborations, because that's very, very important, especially if you're a business owner. Okay? Investing in your business. You have to spend money to make money. So that little $1,200 that I got in a stimulus check, I took that $1,200 and invested in the best, like to this day, I am still profiting off of the investment that I made. Have to plug her, Dana Thomas, now Dana Cook. Dana Thomas has a program called the Entrepreneurship Attorney Bootcamp. When I tell you God works in mysterious ways, about a day or two after I was let go from my job, I was on Facebook and her video popped up. And she was talking about, if you want to open your own law firm, join my program that teaches you not only how to open your own law firm, but how to open a law firm that caters to these specific facets of the law. Once again, I'm somebody who wanted to get into business law, but didn't think that I had what it takes or had the know-how to advise a client on how to, structure their business or, how to operate their business. So she had a free workshop initially, went to the free workshop, listened to everything she was saying. And in my heart, something was tugging me like, Danielle, you need to do it. Danielle, you need to do it. And that price, I was like, listen, we just lost our job. Like one side of me was like, Danielle, you're crazy. You just lost your job. You don't have another one on deck. We are in the middle of a global pandemic in quarantine. You're going to drop this money on something that you don't even know is legit. What if she's a scammer? What if she's a scammer? Because there's plenty of them out there. But my spirit was telling me, do it. Step out on faith and do it. I did it, and it was the best decision I could have made. That's how I met Nina. Nina has been such a resource to me. I'm telling you, she's a kick in my butt when I need it. Like, hey, girl, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And then she is a resource when I need it, sharing all types of information, helping me with funding, all of those things, even client referrals. We refer clients to each other, although we all do the same thing. But if I'm in Florida, Nina does, business law and trademarks and copyrights in Alabama, and someone is looking for an Alabama attorney, I'm going to send them to her because I know she does good work because we met in this attorney boot camp. So I know she knows what she's talking about, right? Because my mentor is her mentor and taught her everything that she knows. And she has no problem reaching back out. So we send each other clients all the time. You have to invest in things that are going to make your business money. So if you see a course, an e-course, an ebook, something that teaches you or gives you the knowledge base that you're going to need to start your business, invest in it, because I swear it's going to pay for itself plus some. Find courses that will benefit your business and grow your knowledge. The same thing. Some of them are paid. Some of them you need to pay for. Other things are free. I'm constantly searching for resources to the point where now I'm on Facebook and, the feds be watching. So ads just pop up on my Facebook all the time for these free resources and workshops. But I'm always looking for things that are going to build my knowledge base. And you have to do that. Even if you don't start your own firm as a lawyer, you have to always continually be growing in your knowledge. Read books, all types of books. Read articles that will update you on the things that are going on in your field, things that are going on in business. I never watched the stock market and stuff like that, but I also started investing, but I started reading, the Wall Street Journal and stuff, because if I want to bring in clients who are looking to expand their business, what if I have a business owner who wants to, go global, right? Who wants to get on, start to be able to sell shares and stuff like that. I need to know what that looks like in order to advise them properly. So you have to read and become knowledgeable. I also read a lot of self-help books. I recently bought Soar by T.D. Jakes, where he talks about, from a spiritual standpoint, entrepreneurship, and he has like a workbook that you can work through. I'm always kind of reading self-improvement and self-help books. Marketing and branding materials, that is one thing in the beginning. Now, it's a personal choice that I made. You don't necessarily have to, because there's a lot of free resources out there, but I chose to work with a graphic designer to design my logo and to give me seamless templates for my social media, right? Because that's part of your branding. Cameron talked about it yesterday, making sure that you have a seamless brand that people can identify with you and only you, right? So I chose to invest some money in that in the beginning. Like I said, you don't have to in the beginning. That was just a personal choice of mine. But just know as your business grows, you are going to have to think about putting money towards marketing and branding materials, apps and systems. Canva is your best friend. Okay. Canva is an awesome, awesome resource if you're looking to create business cards, if you're looking to design a logo on your own, if you don't have the money to pay a designer to make you one, girl, go ahead and get on Canva and make you a logo. Okay. You can create a price sheet. The price sheet that I have was created on Canva. Even with the marketing templates that I have, when I'm inputting information on my templates to post on Instagram or Facebook, I'm utilizing Canva. Canva has a free, Canva is free. They have paid memberships like the Pro that gives you additional resources on the platform. You don't have to use it. I use Canva Pro now just because I like, the additional fonts and things that I can do on the platform, but you don't have to. Canva is free. Linktree is another free resource that is absolutely amazing, especially if you're doing a lot of your marketing on social media, so that you don't have to continually change, the website on your bio to reflect like, hey, I'm speaking at the Black Women Mean Business Summit. Now I have to take out my website's link on there and put in the Eventbrite so that people can register. Linktree allows you to put multiple links on this one unique link that is set up for your business. So when people click on it on Instagram or Facebook, they can find everything you offer. You can link your website. You can link registration to your speaking engagements. You can have a special link for if you're marketing, a deal for Black Friday or Christmas or something like that. You can link, if you do YouTube videos, you can link certain YouTube videos on there and embed the videos into your link tree automatically. That is another great resource as well. Just talk to people. I've found so many great free resources from just talking to my network and asking them, hey, what do you use or what did you use in the beginning, right? Speaking engagements like this one. In the beginning, when you're developing your business, you're not going to necessarily have, the ability to do speaking engagements because people don't know you yet, but you have to put yourself out there. So one of the best ways to do that, run your own speaking engagement, right? Drop a flyer that says, hey, we're going to do Legal Tip Tuesday. I'm going on Instagram Live for like 30 minutes. You can submit questions ahead of time, or you can ask me questions live and in full effect, right? And go on live on your Instagram or on your Facebook. Now, people might not come in at first, but the more that you do it, the more consistent that you are, the more that you share it within your network, is the more people are going to see you and recognize you and realize, hey, Danielle knows what she's talking about. And that's how my speaking engagements grew organically. I was posting a lot. I was very consistent on social media. People saw that and said, hey, she's dropping some good knowledge. So now, other businesses or other, Black business coalitions are now inviting me to come and speak about my expertise to other Black business owners. And it grows organically. Something as like this summit is something that, Nina put on, but she tapped into her network and is now giving me a platform to talk to you guys. So, speaking engagements are very important, but in the beginning, even though they might not come, at you immediately, you can create that space for yourself. And most importantly, I think, is find a mentor and a village. Entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. It is very lonely. There are days that you're making $3,000 and there's days you're making $30 or days you don't make any dollars at all. And there are going to be days when you feel like maybe this wasn't the best decision. You need like-minded people around you that can help you out of that pit at times, who can help you on those lonely nights when you have to get a project done, you have to meet a deadline, and you just need someone there to talk to, right? To keep you up or to give you ideas, people you can bounce things off of that you trust. Just like Nina said, there are so many resources out there and there are ideas out there that you can spin and create your own niche and market. One thing that I found before I found my, mentor, Dana Thomas, and my village within our boot camp was when I would ask some attorneys questions, it's like they didn't want to answer it. Something as simple as, what do you charge to review a contract? They didn't want to tell me their price because maybe they thought, oh, if she knows how much I charge, she's going to charge less and she's going to take money from me. There's so much money out there. Like, there's no way that someone can interfere with your bag at all. And to me, I'm a person that operates on karma. I always want to make sure that I have good karma. I want good things to come to me. So I put good things out into the universe. So I'm not one to withhold knowledge from anybody because I know what it felt like to be, a deer in headlights in the beginning and not know. And I also know that the clients that are for me are for me. The clients that are for you are for you. And we all market our firms differently. I market specifically for Black women. I take clients from all demographics, don't get me wrong, but my passion is for Black women in business. That might not be the same marketing strategy that Nina has, or it might not be the same marketing strategy that Cameron has. We all kind of do the same thing, but we have a niche. So once you find your place and what your passion is, no one is going to take that away from you. So have a village, people that you trust, that you can bounce ideas off of and you can share these things with. And don't be afraid to, once you get to a place of success, share that same knowledge with other people, because good karma is always going to come back. If people want to steal or be shady, that's on them and that's their karma to deal with, but you don't have to take that same approach. Okay. And that's it, guys. These are my social media handles. This is everywhere that you can find me. I'm on Twitter, Boss Lady Legal. I'm on Instagram, Boss Lady Legal. I'm on LinkedIn, Boss Lady Legal LLC. On Facebook, I am Danielle S. Lynn, ESQ. My website, bossladylegal.com. My email is danielle@bossladylegal.com. If you guys have any questions, if you want to start your own firm and you don't know how to start, you need some encouragement, you need some tips and resources, please feel free to email me, reach out to me. I am available. And I really want to see you guys succeed. And I want to see more Black-owned firms. There's not a lot of us. We need to take over. We need some Black Morgan and Morgans and all those big firms that traditionally we're not at the top. We need more of that to change the status quo and to build our generational wealth. So I hope that you guys got some good tips and tricks from this presentation. I'm honored to be here, and I'm here as a resource.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danielle. I just kind of let you talk even past your time because it was just good information. I just don't like cutting people off, especially when, this is good legal information. We love legal, so I might have favorites, but I mean, I just it's that. So just one more time, this is Danielle's flyer. The next speaker that we have up is Crystal Smitherman. She will be talking about tapping personal networks to drive business. So you guys are excited about that. She will premiere in about 15 minutes from now. So maybe you should tune back in. Yeah.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
But thank you so much, Danielle. And switch to the Zoom link so that we can do your wrap call and I can switch to Crystal.
Okay, thanks.